On this episode of AV Social, we take a look back with Dawn Mead and Kelly Perkins about what has changed in marketing and communications in the AV industry in the last 15, 20 years, the rise of social media, and what they would change if they were given the chance. All that and more. Next on AV Social.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Social, episode 42, recorded Tuesday, January 8th, 2019. AV Embers.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Extron, industry-leading technology backed by world-class support.
This is AV Social, the monthly look at social media, marketing, and all things communications as far as the AV community goes. My name is Tim Albright. I am not your host, although I am for this episode. What I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of steal this from Kelly and Dawn. So first I'll introduce my lovely host of this actual program. First is Dawn Mead. You know her as AV Dawn. How are you, ma'am?
Very good, thanks.
Also with us is Ms. Kelly Perkins. She works for NSCA. How are you?
I am wonderful and excited to be back at work. I've had the last 2 weeks off, so.
It's always good to have time off, but it's also always good to get back in the office. So
yes,
right.
So what I wanted to do, I actually wanted to kind of start the year off with a primer, I guess is the best way to put this, or a look back. And really, Dawn and Kelly have been doing marketing communications in the AV industry for a very long time. And so I kind of wanted to get a running start for somebody who hasn't done it before, who's just now getting into it, but also kind of look back and to see, what's changed in the last, 15, 20 years since you two started doing it. So first, the first kind of question is Donna, we'll start with you on this. How did you get started doing AV specifically, but also, how did you get into the marketing aspect of it?
Well, I was in college back in the long ago in the mid-90s and had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. I still sometimes wonder what I'm going to do when I grow up. But I didn't have a career path necessarily plotted out. I was a double major in probably the two most useless majors out there, English and dance, which is not exactly employable. According to my father, especially, and, was looking for some sort of career path. I was as a kid, big fan of Who's the Boss? Angela Bauer owned an ad agency.
Alyssa Milano.
And Alyssa Milano, yes, you're a Gen X guy, so Alyssa Milano. But I loved that show. I loved the ad agency idea, and I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to get into. So after college, I did some freelance marketing and advertising part-time gigs. And when I landed in Maryland, I worked for an ad agency for about a year and really had no skills or qualifications. I mainly got the job because it was the early to mid 90s and not every 5-year-old could do an HTML website, and I knew how to do HTML. So got into the advertising world that way and learned as much as I could. And about the time that job was getting a little squirrely, my then boyfriend said, "Hey, my AV integrator would like a website. If you quit this job, we'll get you a freelance job doing their website and we'll see what happens." And so on a leap of faith, due to my ex-husband, I left the ad agency. I went to do a one-off freelance website for this AV integrator, and next thing you know, I was with them for probably a good 10 years in doing marketing and sales and learning as I went. So very kind of self-taught.
Well, and you also learned that the AV industry is a little bit like the
awesome.
mafia. Well, it's awesome, but it's also a little bit like the mafia. Like you cannot leave. Now that you're in it, you cannot leave.
And I'm glad of that because it's awesome. Well, no, seriously. The first thing I learned when I started at that place was wait, this is a job? You get paid to play with microphones and speakers and projectors and all this cool stuff. They're going to pay me to play with it? I didn't know that was a thing, and now I wish everybody knew that it was a thing because it's awesome.
It's awesome.
And it's like the mafia. Yeah.
Well, and Kelly's doing work on to make sure that everybody knows that with her work with Ignite with NSCA. We'll talk about that in a second. Kelly, you started off, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, your first job in AV was with the manufacturer, though.
Yep. Yep.
So how did you get involved with AV and then in the marketing side?
Well, I graduated with a degree in journalism, and I actually had some internship experiences working for the CBS affiliate here in Minneapolis, and then for a radio station in Eau Claire, Wisconsin when I was in school. But that was just kind of a precursor, I guess, because I worked as a marketing assistant first out of school just to get a marketing job, because when I graduated from college, there were like no jobs anywhere, and it took me forever just to get that. And then I left there because I wanted to follow the amazing world of advertising, because it sounded so cool, and they had ping pong tables and all of that stuff, right? And so I left my marketing assistant job to go do that, and lo and behold, they laid off the entire creative department not that long after hiring me. So I ended up going back to bartending for a while, and this was in the winter of 2007, so the job market was really bad, and there wasn't a whole lot out there. And I actually just answered a classified ad for Vadio, and I was kind of like, oh, cameras. I worked with the camera guys at WCCO, and I need a job. So that's how I got into the industry. And as you guys know, I have never looked back.
Again, you can't leave now. It's interesting. Dawn and I are of the same age generation. Just Kelly slightly behind us. Dawn, you and I have kind of similar, not similar paths, but her and I will reference Who's the Boss. Kelly will reference Mad Men as far as when it comes to advertising. So Dawn, what has changed since you've gotten into the industry, both for the better and also for not so good?
Well, I tell you, one of the biggest things that I've seen change, and I was kind of lucky that it happened as I was starting out, because I was able to kind of learn as I went and grow with it, is the whole rise of social media and the whole rise of kind of the ability to do DIY marketing for small companies in particular. Because until my current employer, who shall remain nameless, I always worked for small mom and pop or boutique size companies. And so 99% of the time, the budget was nothing or next to nothing, and the staff was me to do all of these things.
Yeah.
And I mean, getting on Twitter in 2009, 2008, something like that, and discovering, hey, this is a way to reach out and connect with potential customers, potential partners, potential manufacturer vendor type relationships was incredible. And the trajectory of social media from the Facebooks and, the first rise of LinkedIn and the rise of Twitter and so on, Instagram, Snapchat, yada, yada. I think that has been a huge influence and a huge game changer. We didn't think about, my first ad agency here in Baltimore was like, let's look at day parts and let's call the TV station to buy some day parts for our customer, and let's, shoot on film or videotape an actual commercial and then take it to the, it was all very analog, very manual. And now with online things, you can, hop on a webcam, shoot a quick video, put it out on YouTube, put it on your website. There are so many other channels to reach your prospective customers and partners that I think it's amazing. And it was kind of cool to kind of grow along with that.
This is Kelly. We'll get to kind of what's changed to you in a second, but this is to both of you. How has that digital revolution, call it what it is, that move from 3/4 inch tapes and analog and reel to reel? And in my first job in radio, I was still cutting tape, for crying out loud. How has that not just like Dawn said, kind of allowed the DIY marketing, which you guys talked about last month on this show, but how has that sped up the process of marketing when you can have a meeting today? Somebody can have a meeting today at Bodio, at, Le Grand, AV, which is called now. And by this afternoon, they could have something out, right? So how has that kind of grasped that whole fail quickly, but also, adjust quickly mindset? How has that helped manufacturers and also integrators in the AV industry?
Well, I'll let Kelly answer that. But before I do, I think it kind of parallels the rise of like the 24-hour news cycle. Because when I was in college and starting out in the business world, that didn't exist. And then, hey, Ted Turner's like, let's have a CNN and let's make news all the time. And then all these other things came up. And then we had, wars that were 24/7. And then we had just the whole world has sped up, not just our industry or the marketing industry or the advertising industry. But I think they kind of paralleled to give us this world where when something happens at CES in Las Vegas or ISE in Europe, we want to know about it by this afternoon and we want to be able to react to it immediately. And that sort of thing wasn't possible even when I was in college. So it has definitely sped it up. It's also made it more important for marketing people and advertising people to sort of think ahead and kind of anticipate a little more what's going to happen and be ready with messaging and be ready with reactions to how their messaging is received. So I think that's pretty important now. Kelly?
I would definitely agree with that too. I think it's just like in my career, for example, when I first started out as a marketing assistant for a software company, I was there for less than 6 months and they let go of my boss, the marketing director. So I was there by myself trying to figure out how to do marketing and communications and public relations and events and all of these things with like honestly 0 avenues to get help, right? Like there was nowhere to get help. It was like trying to join these associations in town and find mentors and do all of these things. And it was like it was just very difficult to try and find help, which ultimately forced me honestly to leave that position and go to an agency where I could get some sort of experience from higher level people, so definitely just the avenues of learning and being able to Google what is a marketing plan, stuff that you just couldn't do before. You'd have to go to like Barnes and Noble and buy a book or something, you know what I mean? So it was frustrating, at least for me, and then all of a sudden, social media comes around and there's all these really cool creative avenues to communicate your products or your services or your people and all these things. And you can start to get really creative and do, really quickly videos or, whatever the content may be. And then all of a sudden, I feel like in the last couple of years, I feel like people are just spewing content to everyone. And it's like, to me, it just is super overwhelming. I feel like in the last couple of years, I am massively overwhelmed with just stuff to the point where it's turned me off to where I don't want to, like, I can't even look at it because it's too much and there's no strategy or framework behind it. People are just like sending out videos or, let's post it on as many social media outlets as we can with no real thought or consideration of who they're trying to reach. And I don't mean to be negative. It's just like, it just is, it's very overwhelming to me. And I don't know if it's just this like it's been kind of growing over the past couple of years. Do you guys see that too? Where it's really hard to pick and choose what to listen to and what not to?
I definitely do. If I can jump in on what Kelly said, a funny anecdote, and this is a true story. When I was with that first integrator and had no idea what I was doing in AV marketing and had no idea what social media was, because we were a small company, we belonged to, we took advantage of resources for small companies, including the Department of Labor's Small Business Development Councils.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I don't know if they have them out in the Midwest, but here on the East Coast, you can go to your local business office of the SBDC and they'll provide like webinars, well, now webinars, but then you go to a class and you
Right.
take lessons on something. And they had a class a whole afternoon one time with a guest speaker on Twitter and social media and free marketing, how to do free yourself marketing yourself. And I went to that sucker because I didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah,
the funny part is, true story, the expert on social media that taught that and that encouraged me to get on Twitter and become AV Dawn was a party clown. This guy's day job was a party clown, like for corporate events and kids' birthdays. But he was one of the first people in this region really active on marketing his skills, his services on Twitter and on Facebook and things. And so the SBDC was like, well, this guy's actually kind of doing what we want companies to learn. He was our speaker. So I got on Twitter thanks to a party clown who the SBDC said, come and learn social media. And that it all sprang from that guy. So
did he do it dressed up like in costume?
He did not. He was wearing a suit, but actually the suit looked like a costume because, he just wasn't a suit guy. And he was a floppy shoe guy, I guess. But yeah, so, this idea of not knowing anything and having to learn it on your own, I went to this little workshop with this clown, literally, joined Twitter and started poking around the interwebs for blogs and things. And the thing I found that's a little more difficult now, but was easier then, was if you pretty quickly caught up on who the real experts were. And so started to follow people like Peter Shankman and Michael Michalowicz and the unmarketer, Scott Stratton up in Canada. And some of these who are now the big names in marketing and advertising, Guy Kawasaki, I always get his name wrong.
Yeah,
all of these guys that have written books and are now like worldwide experts at the time were just dudes with blogs,
right,
and some agency experience or whatever their work experience was. But they were kind of just dudes with blogs, and you sort of started following the blogs that knew what they were talking about, become their little devotee, and next thing you know, you're a semi-expert, and like now everybody's an expert. And as you said, Kelly, it's a little overwhelming with so much content. But I think that just shows the growth of the whole media, in that regard, that suddenly, yeah, we can all do this. And the message is caught on. It took 10, 20 years, but the message is caught on. You can do this yourself, and you can learn it just from looking at blogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good thing we have other skills in AV because we're replaceable if you can read a blog.
No, I would take slight issue with that. Some people cannot. All right. My father is one of those. So Kelly, we'll kind of turn the corner here. If you could wave a magic wand, and Dawn and I are both Potterheads. If we had a magic wand, and you could do anything in the AV industry, what would it be?
I prepared for this, so I'm trying to think of how to say it. I think if I could do anything within the AV industry is just, there's just such that mind shift, and I feel it, and I feel like and you guys probably are the same way because you're just a couple years older than me, where we're at that cusp of where the majority of the people that pioneered this industry are either no longer in the industry or are retiring really quickly. And some of them are preparing for that next generation, but a lot of them aren't. And I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's because they don't know how. So I wish somehow we could come together as an industry and recognize that's a thing, so we can keep the industry going. And I think marketing and communications is a big part of that because, and this is the Ignite side of me kind of coming out where, we need people in the industry for this industry to continue. And if there's no talent, it's going to be really hard to keep these companies going and not get, eaten up by all those, the IT companies out there. So if I could wave a magic wand, it would be, to have this movement and have some sort of process where, we really personally and professionally take to heart that we want the next generation to kind of come up and learn all of these skills and be as passionate as they were and as passionate as the three of us are.
Sounds to me like you want to start the Embers to Ignite program at NSCA and bring in the people in the Ember phase of their career, partner them with the kindling, And
That's
Ignite.
actually a really hang on. No, that's a great. That is a really great name for that, though. Really, it is.
Hey, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
That is. Kelly, you should take that and run with that.
Feel free to
Yeah.
take notes. Just send me a free T-shirt or something.
I also had my friend say that we could also promote the opposite of it, where we want people to retire, and we call it the extinguish movement. Sorry.
All right,
Funny.
you've got Hermione Granger's wand. What are you going to do to the AV industry?
Oh gosh, yeah. Tongue-in-cheek answer. I want to be Tim Albright.
Oh, good
I wanna
Lord,
be-
no, nobody.
I-
wants to be Albright.
I want to be paid to just talk all day and go to all the cool shows and hang out with all the cool people. And, of course, then I'd have to be a Bears fan. So, I'm
And
sorry.
that's not a very good place to be this week. Just-
In all seriousness, if I had Hermione Granger's wand, actually, I wouldn't want her wand. I'd just take her time turner. And I would go back about 15 years, knowing what I know now, and take some more hard engineering and design type classes and get my CTSD sooner, which I'm thinking about trying to take this year, but it's going to be a tough one, especially as I'm getting older, But yeah, I'd take the time turner, spin it back, go back and take some more, marketing and sales is great. I love it. I would not change that aspect of my career whatsoever, but I think I would like to beef up the hard technical side and be even more dangerous.
You can still do that,
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I plan to. I totally plan to. I just think it would be easier 15 years ago.
Yeah, because
Fair
as
enough.
Dawn says, we are roughly the same age. You're not that old. So
Oh, thank God bless you. Love you.
You aren't.
same age. You're not that old. So
For those watching, we are recording on my birthday, so I'm feeling
we
my
are.
age right now.
Oh,
Happy birthday to you.
No, please, I'm saying that. But yeah, that would be my one magic wand. That and otherwise, I love our industry and I love what we're doing and I love the evolution we have. And I mean, there's too much that I love that I wouldn't want to mess it. You know what they say in the books with the time turner. You don't want to mess around too much because bad things will happen and you'll screw up the future. Sort of, I wouldn't want to change a whole lot about our industry. So I just make myself
the butterfly effect. You don't want to jack with that too much. So
exactly.
all right. As we wrap up here, Kelly, I want you kind of talked a little bit around it. I want you to talk about your work at NSCA and what you're doing with the Ignite program and really what the thrust of it is and how people can get involved with it.
So the Ignite program is basically to help the industry with talent challenges. So we're working on kind of a grassroots movement to just connect schools and students and attract new folks into the industry, whether you're an integration company, an end user, or a manufacturer. You can get involved by getting in touch with me, or you can go to igniteyourcareer.org, which will officially be launching by the time the NSCA Business Leadership Conference takes place by the end of February. I think it'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. We've been working really hard on it, and it'll have so much cool stuff that hopefully helps people. And, I guess it's a very large task to undertake. So I'm kind of, if we can help a couple people out, that's awesome. If we can help a ton of people out, that's even better. If you're having, challenges finding technicians, engineers, basically any type of staff, give me a holler and I will do everything in my power to kind of help you get some folks, or at least get connected to the right people.
Hey, Kelly, just for my own curiosity, igniteyourcareer.org and most of the Ignite things with NSA, is that just working with school-aged and college-aged students, or does that also work with like transitioning military or second career people?
Honestly, it's open for everyone. We want to keep, the net wide. We're initially just going straight towards community colleges and vocational schools because I think we'll get the biggest bang for our buck to help all the organizations out the fastest. So we're targeting them, secondary universities, four-year colleges, tertiary high school, as well as folks, returning from the military, as well as people that just want to look at career changes. So it's open, but like I said, we're kind of targeting the marketing towards community and tech schools to start.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will give you guys back your show for next month. But so thank you for letting me just jump in here and again wanted to get insights and the wisdom from both of you because you've been doing this a long time and you both had really a good amount of success. And I just wanted to kind of turn the tables and let people kind of hear from you instead of you interviewing somebody else. So thank you both for letting me. And Dawn, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I was going to thank you, Tim, for taking the onus of hosting the show off of us for a month and giving us a vacation, even if we still had to be guests. So
I was going to say, you still had to talk.
Talking
you're
about
pretty good
yourself
for an
is
amateur
easy.
host there.
All right, Ms. Avi Dawn, how do people find you if they are so inclined? And I want to wish you, well, by the time this posts, a belated happy birthday, but a happy birthday nonetheless.
You can absolutely find me on Twitter and most of the social networks at AVDawn or Dawn Mead. And you can see me around various AV shows, definitely in Infocom. I don't know where else I might pop up, but you never know. I'm around.
You're around.
Worst case scenario, ask Tim and visit AVNation.tv and check out mine and Kelly's backlog of shows.
Yep, absolutely. Please. And I mentioned the fact that last month you guys did one on DIY marketing, which I liked a lot. And a couple months ago, we did one on mergers and acquisitions and how to work through that, whether you were the acquirer or the mergee, I guess, the merger. I don't know. All right, Ms. Perkins, thank you, ma'am. How do people find you or NSCA?
NSCA.org for the whole association. If you want to find me, it's NSCA_Kelly on Twitter, and then Kelly P. Perkins on LinkedIn. And again, if you're interested in getting involved with Ignite, head to igniteyourcareer.org, and you can fill out a form just to let us know what you're looking for if you want to help and volunteer, or if you're just looking for some talent. So.
All right, very good. My name is Tim Albright. As Dawn mentioned, don't follow me on the Twitters because at this point I'm still mourning the loss of the Bears in the first round of the playoffs from a kicker.
At least you made the playoffs.
This is
Yeah,
true.
no kidding.
Kicker. Laces out, Dan. But go by the website, if you would please, AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv, you'll find this program and a host of others. While you're there, check out our supporters, these are folks who help us financially, help us bring you AVSocial. And in about 4 weeks' time, good Lord, ISE, Integrated Systems Europe 2019, next to the last time in Amsterdam. So we'll be heading out there and bringing you everything from the RAI 2 more times, but this is the next to the last time. So all that and more at avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AVSocial.